All right. Problem, sir. Yeah. Absolutely. Mr. Moons,
Yeah, I'm here.
Ms. Jacobs,
Here, sorry.
Mr. Zelinski, Mr. Pattershuk. All right, and Mr. Talbot is absent. And then I'll let the minutes reflect that Councilman Gregory Carl is in attendance representing the city council. And then also senior planner Don Doty and myself, Carlos Trejo, the director of planning for the city of Olivet.
Hey, Carlos, do we have any public attendees this evening?
No, sir, there are none.
Okay, so I don't
Nobody
hear
in
any
attendance.
comments from the public. Okay, moving right along. Business communication plan. Doty.
No, so at our last meeting, we talked about one is getting a copy of the previous questions that were posed by the commission, and I'm going to print those out. That were put together by the commission. Those had been sent out in there, and I apologize, I didn't print any for the table here. But we'll get those printed in there. So you have the 3 original questions. To kind of review those questions and see if they're still applicable, or the commission find them still applicable, and then we can pursue continuing on those 3. And then I put together a listing of different businesses for the commission to review and see if that is sufficient for the commission to follow through on those. Right now, I'm going to print those questions out for you guys.
These are the 4 questions, right, Carlos? It was like,
Yes. Mhm.
and the 4 questions. How is business? What is the city doing well? What could we do better? And what else would you like the city to know? Those are the questions.
Correct. And they were essentially taken out of the communications plan. And I gave that little in the email, kind of that photo shot of where they were crafted from. And you know, so one of the things I went back both in the 5-year plan and the communication plan was trying to get a better understanding of what exactly was the goal and how those 4 questions support the goal. And that's where, you know, I thought we'd have a little bit of discussion in there. I think the overall, you know, the 5-year plan was to be able to reach out, engage with businesses, and use them as a sounding board to get information to further our objectives. And that's to, retain and attract new businesses, talk about the business types and what other services that we can capitalize with our existing businesses and things of that nature. The communication plan, again, kind of focuses on that, but expands it about having businesses feel as if they're part of the community. How do we, expand their role and feel as being part of the Olivet community? I think we used to kind of talk about Shanko when they were down in Brentwood. They would always reflect Shanko in Brentwood. Then when they moved here, there was Shanko located between I-170 and Lindbergh on Olive Boulevard. So it was trying to get, trying to create, consistent with the strategic plan or comprehensive plan of, creating this place, this dynamic sense of in the Olivet community. So, that is what I see is the goals. And again, my role is just to make sure that we're pushing those, that those questions are consistent with trying to obtain those goals.
Sounds good. Yep. So we have a list of potential companies that we can go ahead and visit. And things are loosening up now with regards to COVID. We've basically dropped the mask mandates in most of these places. Quite a few of them are, I would say, business to business. There's quite a few that are business to consumer. So just have to go out there, potentially make an appointment with these people. Well, first of all, we'll divvy them up and we'll say if anybody's interested in going ahead and maybe making contact with some of these. Just sort of raise your hand and say, you know, I'll do this one, I'll do that one, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think that's fine. Are you on mute? Yeah.
I said, I'll take the School of Rock because my kids go there and I know Jared pretty well, so happy to talk to him. He's got a nice little going business right now.
Okay, fantastic.
I'll take all of Dealman Rock Island because I don't know any of that stuff. So I'll just meet those folks. So give me Dealman Rock Island, those 4.
Right. Right. Let's see. Becky, Commissioner Jacobs, I'm sorry, I should address you by your formal title.
Oh my gosh, okay. That's fine.
Anything that you looked at?
Oh,
that-
Thank you for scrolling down. I was just like, well, is that all there is? That's all we had to talk to? That's cool. Yeah, I honestly, I don't care, honestly. I mean, I don't want that to sound like I don't care. I do care. I can talk to anybody. So whomever, if you all have preferences, totally fine. I'll take what's left.
Okay.
I'll also take the sports card shop because
Because you want to spend all your money there?
me and my children and I are investing all their college funds into sports cards and Pokemon. So I will go and talk to my buddy Devin there and also get his feedback on the city.
Same, Mr. Moon, same.
I didn't know there were so many. I'll take all of the first 4, like the Warson Bauer. I'll just take all 4 of those. I just didn't want
Can you
to grab so many.
I
so
can-
quick.
I can do Olive Central. I can do Olive West. I don't care.
Okay, I'll do Dealman Price then. And I'll pick up Olive West too.
All right, I'll do Olive Central.
So do you have those?
And I
Carla?
can't really read this very well, but I'll do Olive East and Olive Central.
Perfect, okay.
In the
Okay.
the yellow highlights that I have in here, I apologize. That's not the correct name and I'll get
Oh,
those
got
up.
it.
They were for me to,
Well, Fallon's Bar is Dan.
correct. That's where I just noticed when I saw that.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
think
that's
I have
not
another
right.
here,
I don't know
for
who
the-
that person is.
Okay.
So I'm in charge
good.
of Olive East. I keep trying to scroll your screen down, Carlos. Sorry about that.
No, you're,
There you go. I'm doing Olive East and Olive Central, yeah?
correct.
Okay. Wow.
Rod, I got you down for Dealman Price and Olive West.
Right.
Nate, Warson Bauer. And David, I got you for Dealman Rock Island and the card shop.
Yeah, throw the liquor store onto my list too. I'll take that one.
I'm surprised that
All
wasn't-
my vices into one group, please. Thank
Might
you.
as well hit them all at the same time, David.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Just don't hit it first. Just make sure it's the last. So. Okay, well, good. Well, that's really all there is there. I mean, we kind of have a plan. We're sticking to it. So
Do we have a time frame?
let's try and do it before the next meeting. Now, would now be a good time to maybe schedule the next meeting?
Are we looking for a different date than the regular Monday?
Regular Monday, which would be April
25th?
April 30th.
April
Oh,
30th is a Saturday.
April 25th.
You think that's enough time to hit these?
Yeah, any more than that, it might get just lost, right?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, we'll see if we can get it done by next week. Of course, it's depending on the business schedules too. So see if we can get on it. Great.
And then how are we going to like collect it? Should we like have a shared document we can all just enter information into the responses or bring it back or?
Actually sounds like a good idea. Just email us at the link. Okay, fantastic.
All right.
Okay. So just go ahead and pick your notes. When you come back, there should be a SharePoint link where you can enter some of the information that you found out.
Can I just interject something somewhat sad? I am a completely unemployable person because I have no idea what you just said, Rod. What do you mean there's a share link? What does that
Yeah,
mean?
Well, you'll get an email with a link in it, and that's basically, I'm not really into SharePoint. I know what it is. I actually know that it exists. Let's say that. It's basically a way to share documents and information, and it's kind of like, call it a shareable Word. Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
so there's gonna be a link that I need to upload some information into.
Exactly. Follow the
Gotcha.
prompts
Okay.
and you'll be fine.
I'm just
kinda
not
like
into the local tech.
Dropbox,
with the
if you're
new-
familiar with that.
Yeah, I'm just not up on all that because I make ice cream. I sell ice cream.
It
We
it
don't
was
do that.
out long before, but it's a Microsoft, I believe, product that does what Dropbox does.
That's fine. I'm 20 years into this. I haven't been in an office in over 20 years.
If you know how to use the internet, you'll know how to use this.
Okay, cool.
I think you could share information way back in Lotus Notes.
Yeah.
I don't even know what
Boy,
that is, so.
I even know that. I mean,
I miss Lotus
Start to
Notes.
read
I
it.
actually liked Lotus Notes. There's something more simple about it that I enjoy.
okay, enough of this
I did-
pining for the old days.
I didn't mean to derail the purpose of this meeting. I just honestly, you have to just go a little bit slower with me when it comes to tech stuff.
It's all good. That's what we're here for. Get everybody on board, moving in the same direction. Okay, I guess that's really it for the communications plan. 5-year plan.
I guess.
Is there-
You're gonna give us those, you printed those out for us.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You know, the
Contacts.
attachment of the contacts, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure.
They were in the email as well.
Oh,
that you
okay.
got too,
Then never
so,
mind.
yeah.
I'll go ahead and print them before you leave.
No, I never
Okay.
don't worry about it. I just didn't see it up there, so.
Okay. 5-year economic plan. Was there something specific? on
No,
the agenda?
there wasn't anything because this, the communications plan is an extension of that 5-year plan regarding the business outreach. And so I've kind of kept those two together. And they kind of apply to what the tasks that we're doing, because the 5-year economic development plan said we should do some type of engagement. And we put the communications plan to define what type of engagement. That's what you see there. And then some of the other things is to bring you up to speed to what else have we done regarding that 5-year plan, because it was about creating a database of our businesses, and we've done that. Dawn's kind of taken it a little bit further, and I don't know if she's set to kind of show like the storybook or things that we're playing with now that we have a functional database, and she's really kind of overhauled that database too, clearing it up as we're getting close to the begin to do our outreach for business licenses. So this should put us in a really good position of updated information, both on businesses, business types, employments, and then what Don's going to show us is kind of like the investments along the corridor and how we're keeping track of those. Are you set? You should be able to.
Don, you're muted.
Sorry, he's got to enable the screen share.
Okay. Good.
One second while we get settled, and let me know when you can see my screen. Not yet? Let me see. Here we go. Here we are. So this is a, well, hopefully this will grow more robust as time goes on. But I don't want to really call it a preview because we do have some good information in it. Where it is a map, and it's definitely interactive. You can go throughout the city, zoom in to these developments one by one, or you can travel through them. There's a little bit of information on each one, just the pertinent data. This is a really easy enter story map, and that is because it's very much like a Word document with one photo. We will have more pictures, probably not available through a web app, but like that could be something that that's something that would wrap into our parcel viewer, which we're creating. But we've been working with GovSense also to organize our data and make sure that everything is connected. And that's really been kind of the crux lately. But the mapping stuff is actually very easy, in my opinion. So we have a little bit of information on each one of the private projects under private developments. It does narrow it down. The map could be a tad more interactive, but it does capture it, and it's an easy entryway. We can add things very quickly if you know about something, and you don't have to have a specific amount of information, although the more information you have, the better, because I really like the way that looks. As opposed to something that doesn't have any description whatsoever. You could get really complicated with things and put a lot on one page. There is a certain number after 20 or so points per tab, it gets a little slower. So we're going to try to keep it under 20 for each one of these tabs, and I believe I can have up to 6 tabs. I started with these 4 because the park renovations are very, significant renovations, significant investment amounts, and there's a lot to say about them. It seems like, I guess I'm not seeing all the park plans because I'm so far zoomed in, but yeah, it has all of the different park plans and a little summary. Street projects are definitely going to be, more robust. I would really like to see, this will be tied in, or at least in concert with the rest of our databases as time goes on. And same thing with MSD. So that's why I'm saying I see a great future for it, a lot of growth potential, but it's a light app at the moment.
Is this on our website?
No, not yet.
That's the plan.
This is internal only.
I guess I shouldn't have said not yet. I don't know if we plan on putting it on our website or not.
So it's
go-
just an internal document. It's not a city facing document.
You know what? I'll put it on our SharePoint, and that'll be something that we can share. You will have
Are you
access.
making fun of me, Dawn?
No. No, but you will have exclusive access to that link so that you
No,
can
I was just
actually-
wondering who sees this besides us at our meetings and you. I was just wondering who has access to it. That's all.
But yeah, it will be basically whomever we share the link with.
I guess
Got
from the standpoint of putting this out to the public,
Yeah.
there's, some are private developments, and that's I guess the main concern here. How much of the information we are privy to with regards to the ongoing developments, that sort of thing. It's somewhat of a watch out.
Oh, yes, it's completely governed, the content. We would only put things out there that are public knowledge, that are announced. I wouldn't assume that we would ever want to put something out there because this would be innately, or I think of it as innately public, and, if we're going to put it on our website, then unless it does become like, we circulate it as a SharePoint document and it's more internal, where we are, actually sharing more confidential information. There can be an app for that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know, like,
So let me throw something out. One is I don't really know SharePoint. I know what it is. I don't know if it would be possible to have the page look slightly different depending on the user, such that if it was an external user, you didn't get certain links, whereas if you were an internal user, you did get certain links to more confidential information. I think this is very nice looking, so I would hate to keep the entire thing from the public. And I think it also demonstrates very well how much we have going on in the city. So I think it's a great tool for public communication, or to refer people to say, here's all the stuff going on. One other thought I had is from private developments, you might, because it looks like you might have single family homes on there, or at least you've got the subdivision on there. I would think maybe if you're going to put single family homes on here, you'd split it out and have a single family home tab and a private developments developer.
Oh, yeah, no, that would be a really good idea. And we could, even with like PCDC or things that were coming through, or, successful projects that have been passed for new homes. I hadn't thought about that, but that's a really interesting idea. Because we do keep track of that.
Well, we do, but
Yeah.
as soon as you put it out in the format where it's, let's say, for example, it's easy to compare things one to another.
Yeah.
And you are somewhat encroaching on homeowners' privacy. You can have information about, when it was built, et cetera. All this information is basically available through tax records and things like that. But in one sense, if anybody wants to know anything about a certain property, you can actually go to the county
True.
and pull records that way. But what you're doing here is creating maybe a more visual. And I think some property owners may object to that sort of information being out there.
Yeah.
Well, my question would be as follows. We post that as part of I would not suggest we post anything beyond what we post for PCDC meetings, which is certainly public info. And what I would suggest as far as information from the county website is maybe a locator that takes you to the county website rather than us repeating the information. So just, again, some thoughts.
The thing is, when it was said, we can put single family homes out there, I envisioned, I took that as all single family homes.
No, I just meant new projects, the ones that are going through CDC, right? So those things are getting advertised in front of the public anyway. So
That's different. Yes. And say, for example, if someone's in Board of Adjustment, there's a letter that goes out to all homes within 200 feet.
right.
Proposed
300.
development, that sort of thing. So they're going to know about it anyways. But there's going to be a little bit of extra reach there with regards to people knowing what's going on.
Right.
The goal of this, I'm sorry to chime in really quickly. The goal of this tool, though, is to have some sort of central location to visually communicate all the major projects going on in town. It's not necessarily to make sure that everyone knows that I'm putting in a hot tub in my backyard. It's more of to, like, when people see construction or major projects going on, they want to go somewhere to find out what the hell's happening. And I think that's what this tool is for. Am I correct in understanding that?
And one of the ways that this is referenced today, it's new vernacular to me. Don knows more about this, but they call these storybooks,
Story map.
Yeah.
story map. And the intent here is that we're trying to tell a story. We're using this as a means to communicate about all of that and market all of that, telling the
I love
story
it.
of various developments that we're having. And the
Carlos,
goal,
I think it's great. I think it's great. I love that because we used to have these meetings and we would just wait for Carlos to tell us what the hell's happening. Like, hey, what's going on there? And now we have this one central place to go and look and kind of ping into it and get an update. And I think that's great. And to Rod's point, like digging into the minutia behind like what my neighbor's doing in their backyard. I don't care. No one cares about that. What we all care about is like what's happening in the city and what are the major things that are occurring. And is there now a piece of software that will allow us to communicate that to the public? And I think this is great. I think it's great.
you can have like as you go into each of these blocks, there'll be you know, a synopsis of the olive crossing, and we can update those photos as construction continues to. Kind of looking at this too, we can have a running tally of investments, and you can see the clock ticking
Yeah,
of the value of improvements in the corridor, you know, that's.
that's another reason why I refer to this as a light, because I would love to redo it as more of a dashboard style where there's more information in there. Yeah, we've only got forward to go. This is sort of like an easier entry and, you know, a quick setup. A dashboard can possibly, it wouldn't have room in this app, but there can be a app that goes with it. That would give more of a tally type of a thing. As far as the single family homes, that could be something that is either, it would probably be a separate app entirely if we went forward with it, or, you know, I mean, it could be another tab, but like, it's sort of like, what are people interested in? This is a major projects for largely commercial projects, you know, the park renovations, while they are city property, they are still public use and they are still, you know, commercial scale. Street projects and MSD utility work that people are concerned with on an ongoing basis. It's going to be new to me to coordinate the MSD projects, but that's a whole nother section of what we're doing with GIS and with Public Works. And we've really come a long way. I'm so proud of our team. We have a shared file geodatabase. We have, and I can access their data on streets in real time without having to, you know, run over to Public Works and get a jump drive and go, which one was the most recent data? No, we have it. And we have a workflow to update the data. We have all of those things. So, well,
No, that sounds
go
really,
ahead, Pat,
actually, it sounds really cool.
Thanks.
I would say this with regards to, with, like, I think, David, you hit it right on the head. This is kind of like a utilize the ongoings, put them in a nice format so that people outside of all of that can say, can really truly see that we are a dynamic sense of place. And
That was kind of my point when I asked the question, was like, this is really cool. And it'd be really great if other people could see it.
right.
That was
And
the whole reason I asked.
My only comment is from a standpoint of limitations. This needs to be a high level view of things going on. Things will kind of come into this and fall off of it as they get done. And there may be something with regards to like high level data with regards to homes, like how many new homes have there been in the last 5 years, 10 years? You know, you may be some charts, that sort of thing. The level of increased housing over time, what's happened with, like, from a realtor standpoint, this is all
Right.
very interesting to me. And it would be interesting to other people that want to possibly live here and invest here.
I agree.
Could you potentially add a tab that shows business vacancies?
Business vacancies. We are getting a handle on the vacancies with the data I've been working on today. But we are updating that with the business licenses and the mailings that we'll be doing to renew the business licenses for 2022. That mailing goes out April. So we will have a better sense. For the vacated spaces that we've identified, I've noticed that there are several others that are in the county database that are commercial spaces. And we don't know if they're vacant or not. So we will need to include them on the mailing in some way to contact the business to, you know, give them equal exposure to what they need to do to be a legally, you know,
There may be a fix for that.
Okay.
Former councilman, not councilman, commissioner, Mr. Busker, brought something up years ago with regards to a database of vacant properties that's, you have to buy into it.
Co-star.
Oh,
CoStar, yeah.
okay, okay.
I don't know if we can, if they would give a reduced rate to a governmental organization that's not actually looking to buy, but someone who can actually support, sales and promotion of properties that would probably enhance their reach.
Right. So it is an expensive database. And even for municipalities to use it, they offer a light app where you can access a portion of their database for no cost. But it's either that, like that, that 10% or whatever of their database, or it's the whole, and it's somewhat based on your size and population, and I don't know what the bottom is. I know that it was very expensive for the city and it was very expensive for the county, and the city county cost was crazy. But they paid it and they tried every year to reduce the rate in some fashion. But we also had a lot of seats and we had a lot, so it was a much bigger thing. I don't know what the cost would be here. We also have Lois, Location One Information System, which is free through the state. And we have the data for all of that. It is I have a working version of that and I consult it. And it's something that's accessible through a link. I just didn't know how we felt about putting the information out there because it's unverified and it's an unpaid service. So you really don't know what you're getting, right? It's just however often the state updates that data.
And that's kind of my point too, with regards to things like putting real estate information out there on vacant properties. It has to be managed, and it has to be managed fairly well with regards to, is it vacant, is it not vacant, is it rented, that sort of thing. I mean, you can even get into like, cost per square foot of this property, that property, averages in an area, that sort of, and it's kind of like, that's a lot of minutia that I don't really know if we need to manage.
We do go through the Economic Development Partnership and request like a run of data from time to time. And that can give us a good, some good clues on where our vacancies are. However, whenever we were looking for space recently for St. Elizabeth, they told us that there were no vacancies that they could, that there were no spaces that met the criteria. And yet, what I looked on Lois, and I never knew, how good that turned out, but like, no, I have my misgivings about CoStar. I should just say that,
Okay.
their data is not 100%, especially at a smaller scale like this. The MOE goes way up just because their database is so large and uncurated.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I didn't realize that it was that lacking.
I just showed my whole part. Yeah, no, it could be good. And I don't know if it'd be worth the, like a subscription for us. We could definitely hit up the Economic Development Partnership. I haven't talked to them. in 6 months.
If it's worthwhile, that's it.
Sure. Nate, did you have any specific information that you were going for?
No, I just thought of it like, if we drive down Olive, there's certain places that are vacant from time to time, places in the industrial park. And I just thought that tied into the database and the information we're trying to gather. So I was just making a story map out of that as well to see if there was any other things you could glean from where those vacancies are, or parts of town or anything. So
If
if
those-
it's not worth the trouble, the value may not be there. I just.
Well, I
Throwing
think
it out there.
we've set the framework where we can get there. And that's one of, going back to this 5-year plan, one was to create this baseline of economic data to set these type of goals. And a lot of it was the framework that you kind of helped put together that you know, we have it there now with Dawn and her technical skills on it. We're able to manipulate that data and create, like these story maps and utilize that info a little bit better than we were before. Which leads us to, and then getting the stakeholder feedback, which we're working on as part of this process in the communications plan, with the goal that, with what we receive, we can start determining, needed infrastructure improvements that would support economic development and all of that. And that's that next tier that we want to hit with the data you gather, where we can start targeting the types of businesses that we want to try to encourage and what we need to do, or what we're hearing that we need to do to get there.
Yeah.
So these are all kind of working in that sequence.
Yeah, and that actually, yeah, that's right. What we're doing here with the questionnaire going out is a fact-finding mission. See if we see any patterns or any needs that aren't being met.
We were cautious about doing like a survey, like an electronic survey, since we're so close to the larger comprehensive plan. And there will be electronic, and there will be a lot more business outreach directly from the city. So this more personal outreach with you guys is a good time for it.
Just don't open your line with, I'm from the government, we're here to help.
Yeah.
Anyways, people
Do you
online.
have an
comments?
opening line for us?
I'm sorry, Becky, what was that?
Is there an opening line you'd like us to use?
I think your charming personality would be enough to engage.
Or overwhelmed, depends on who it is, right?
There you go.
I do support the notion that was made a moment ago about like a survey will get you data points, but this is going to be anecdotal. That's what we're going to get. We're going to get some verbatim comments that will be some level or no level of passion, and we'll use that to guide kind of the next level of decision making.
Actually, you know what, not to augment the questionnaire, but that kind of gives me a little bit of an idea. Maybe just have each, whenever anybody goes out, raise the level of interest in each question, or a gauge from like a scale of 1 to 10. Yeah, just whenever, how's business? Don't really want to talk about it. It's a 1. Goes on and on about how great all of that is. It's 10. Right.
Dawn is muted again. I can't hear her.
Oh, sorry about that. We can
No worries.
add to it, and everybody can put their personal spin on it.
I think that's what you're going to get. So just a
Right.
formal way of tabulating it after the fact.
right.
Trying to make your job easier for you.
No, I appreciate it.
I mean, if you're gonna, well, 10's too much. Yeah, 3 might be too little, because the words will say if it's negative, positive, or neutral. 5, I guess, leaves some subjectivity left in it,
Yeah,
but.
I always like a,
Perfect.
I like a 6-point scale, but nobody gives it.
I just learned at a seminar over the weekend, honestly, on this very top, well, this wasn't the topic of the seminar, but this was a point that was discussed, that a 4-point scale really forces people to give you a true opinion. If you give them a 5, then lots of people just pick 3s, and then that's like no answer, right? But if you give them a 4-point scale, then you have a much better gauge of where they really are in their head, as far as 4 being super awesome, love the city of Olivet, 1 being you guys suck and we're gonna leave, and but 2 and 3 are room for improvement, right? Or you got a lot of room for improvement, one of the 2, but at least it forces people to literally give you a usable piece of information. That was just that was the way it was discussed. Just throwing that out there.
Sure.
Good point. I like it.
I like 6 points personally.
Kind of made
It's just-
sense to me.
I'm a 6-point guy. Top 2 box. That's
I
what
was
you're going
told there'd
for.
be no math. I was the one who brought it up, so blame me.
I need that shirt.
Yeah, I think was point well noted. I think maybe stick with 5. Just that gives people an out to pick 3 if they don't understand the question.
C, isn't that the one that you have to pick?
So that's
So
right,
that,
C,
that's
that's-
the statistically the most likely.
Yes,
I don't
the
think that by
right.
any.
Multiple
yeah,
choice.
it's just-
Strategies, yes.
Yeah. Well, we can definitely put that in there.
I think it'd be
or-
something, just be I think it's everybody be cognizant of what they're asking and just sort of rate it.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there's no more discussion on that, any other business, Mr. Trio?
There was a meeting minutes that were distributed via PDF. I'm not sure, and I didn't print them out, so I apologize. So if we want to hold that off. Or if
Yeah, we'll
everybody
hold
had a
it off.
chance to take a look.
Yeah, I really didn't. Were they attached to the email?
Yes, well, that's a good point. No, they
Okay.
were on Fridays, but not on Thursdays.
Oh, okay,
They're not-
all right.
Yes, not today's.
All right.
But they were done and they were posted online. So as a draft.
Okay, we'll have a look at them next meeting. Okay. Reports.
I'll start on the west side of town, up at Morrison Park, as they're getting the foundation, the footing forms in place for the community center. And of course, that's hopefully a project that will be up and running by next fall. And there, so you go down the block, the Miriam Academy. Don's been working closely with Miriam, 39 North, the YWCA, and St. Louis County about opening a what's the term?
It's an early childhood
childhood.
education center, not a Head Start facility, but they will occupy the front part of the building, which is the original structure that has been vacant for quite some time. Even though the Miriam Academy has occupied that back portion for a number of years, that front portion has been sparsely occupied. And they had some major water damage in 2020, but that's all getting cleaned up. The plans are really significant. They are proposing, I don't want to put them on the hook for anything, but there are some significant plans.
So we're excited about that one, because that one, again, was kind of a ground up in the city, kind of putting these different parties together, and then the momentum kind of picked up on a need that was both for 39 North, the Y, and then even in our general area, we don't have a defined daycare or early childhood center.
And this space, at the Miriam Academy, it was set up as I believe it was a former daycare
service.
in school rooms. So it was literally the exact right space for the right time. We have the Danforth Center, their interests, besides their employees, they also have students that come from the community college that have, they are missing all the time. They're, and they're dropping out because there's not enough care. There's not enough childcare. There's not enough flexible childcare. We worked with them to do a survey to get an actual image on what are the issues, what are preventing people, that are causing this high rate of dropout, and daycare.
Do you have any idea what the capacity would be?
I believe it's 170.
It should be pretty significant.
I just happened to be reading the article online, and yes, you're correct.
Thank you.
That is significant. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think it's going to start out maybe like in the 90s. I
still-
can't remember that part of the article.
Yeah, that was basically what it said. Because nobody else reported on it. I was, so I had just read the article.
You go down to Stacy Park. If you're utilizing the parking lot for Old Bonham School drop-offs,
No more.
you're out of luck right now. We've been trying to coordinate with the school about the parking lot closure. I believe mid-April, it will fully be shut down. They allowed some temporary parking for the next couple of weeks as they make arrangements. There also will be some limitations on parking on some of the side streets, so be aware of those. And at the park itself, they demoed the roof of the pavilion, but they're keeping the brick shelter, which had the bathrooms in place, and that's going to be, you know, updated bathrooms and revised storage, and then a new pavilion is going to be constructed just down from that. So that is ongoing. They were doing the footings for the new pavilion last week. And so I anticipate those will get poured depending on Wednesday's rain before the week's end. Going back on Olive, the Oliver, they're getting really close. We're in discussions with them about occupancies and all that, and we've you know, initiated discussions about the Outlaw too. In there right now, there's no specific plans to get that up and moving. They're looking at the market and what's available out there. Across the street at Plant Haven, they're moving pretty quickly. They were doing the forms for the parking lot outside. I did talk to Miss Sella, who usually operates the Plant Haven Garden Center, to see if she was going to open up space there at the bowling alley. She's hoping that before the end of summer, she can be in the new facility. She'll be occupying the east side of there. She did note that they're in discussions with a restaurant tenant and two other retail, well, two other, so a service kind of oriented tenant that has some retail, and then more of a service oriented tenant to kind of help balance out the parking demand on that side. So things are going pretty good. I did skip over Easy Storage. We don't anticipate anything being submitted to them there until really August. So right now there's no activity
We have
on that side.
building, like final building permit, et cetera.
Yes, that those will come in August and we'll start the review. As we continue eastward, Firestone, their goal is to try to open up sometime next week, I think. In there, they're moving pretty quickly. And that site, they still have a lot of landscape improvements that will still be ongoing, including the improvements to the old veterans fountain, where there'll be a public gathering area and such. Those will happen. Last week at the city's Planning and Community Design Commission meeting, the commission recommended approval to rezone the properties across the street here on Dealman for the development of the Olivet Townhouse project that's being proposed by Douglas Properties. So that will be going to council in April for rezoning. Then after that, he would go back to the Plan Commission one last time for the final building review and then apply for permits.
So everything's under contract there with Douglas Properties?
Yes, to the best of my understanding, yes. And we're trying to pin down the schedules when he'll start doing some of the demos. Some of those may start hopefully before, within the next couple of weeks. Excited about that project. Again, continuing down the corridor, jumping all the way to Olive Crossing. The footing and foundations are being poured for the garage structure. With the weather now, you know, once we start getting to a cycle of warmer, consistent weather, that's going to be moving quick. As soon as that footing gets in place, it is a tilt-up construction for the garage structure. That will go up quickly. That's a 5-level structure. And then the apartment structure, the permits have been released for that. That's a 5-level, 184-unit structure too. So we'll see. I think by our next meeting, you know, we'll start seeing things 3-dimensional coming up off the ground there.
And utilities have all been completed?
Yes, but not disbanded. So along Olive, the Charter and AT&T are still hanging on the old lines, and that, you know, it's very hard to control that aspect of it. So as soon as that gets relocated onto the main lines, I believe Ameren is now in full operation on their lines. MSD is complete. Wednesday, weather pending, of course, with the rain they're anticipating, they're going to cause a disruption on Price Road for about a week, and that's for the installation of a new water main. So between the entrance to Price Crossing, right by the old Starbucks, and Olive, so that segment there, it's 2 lanes, one in each direction, but they're going to excavate the road and connect into the water. It takes about 7 days so because part of it is done privately through a contractor who opens up the area, and then the water company does its own connection, and then the private contractor comes back and does the covering. So there's some coordination things, so it'll take about 7 days. There will be lane closures, but the road will be fully accessible, so they'll be manning it out, directing traffic during their excavation, and then during off hours, the road, there'll be a steel plate on the area that was excavated. So we'll be monitoring that, and I think it will move pretty. The flow should be a lot better than some of what we've learned in the past, like the Dealman sidewalk on Dealman here at Olive with Firestone. We're very cognizant of the importance of the sidewalks and making sure that they're accessible at all times now. The Opus group at Irvington and Rhyme, all the houses are down. It's a pretty interesting view now. If you go down that way towards Chevy's, just how open and visible everything is on that side. They submitted one of the plats for acquiring the road right away. I need to get the signatures on those. That gets recorded. Then they can submit their next plat for consolidating all of the properties. And once that is done and we record it, then I can issue them their improvement permits. But right now, there's still 23 individual lots out there that need to get consolidated into one. But there's a process, and unfortunately, it's a slow process. That you got to do this first before you can do this, then you can do that. So, but we're getting through there. And then in the industrial park, Proper Cannabis is still working with the Planning Commission, obtaining a special use permit for 1220 North Price Road in there. And again, they were trying to be proactive about establishing a process of procedures for abating the odors that would be generated in the cultivation process, and how calls and complaints would be handled. Meantime, too, we have a dispensary that's interested in the Turk building, which is right next door to the Price Crossing on the east. That'd be more one of the retail components. It's that building needs some TLC big time. So it would be nice to see that we utilize.
They would prefer to locate their dispensary there as opposed to one of our properties on Olive?
Correct.
Okay.
And some of it does too, because again, it's interesting on some of these cannabis things on how, they can't own property, or there's so many regulations because of the federal requirements and then what the state allows. So that, there's no advantage for them to own the property, or I think they can't hold the property in there. So a lot of these guys are just kind of leasing in that process with the intent of acquiring it if the laws.
Okay.
I think that covers the corridor. And our neighbors to the east, they're continuing. They're doing that road work, adding an additional lane on the the westbound direction of Olive that's going towards Olivet. That should be ongoing for the next couple of weeks. And that's part of their phase 1. If they do across the street, then they're going to have to add another lane on the eastbound traffic heading into Youth City. But I think the permit that's been issued by MoDOT allows them to kind of phase the Olive Boulevard improvements as those buildings come in line or construction comes in line. It is a concern for Olivet because we have a feeling that it is going to create traffic disruptions. Kind of question about, are they cognizant of the amount of, not necessarily the retail, but the volume of traffic that would be associated with that retail, and how that impacts us if they're kind of phasing in their improvements. But that's how it's been issued. I mean, we're good in terms of how the improvements that we're doing to Hilltop and Price and all of those that are proposed Gilman Industrial and all of to help manage the movement within our area. But, you know, as they start phasing in the eastern side, especially in that construction, that'll be interesting, you know, depending on what type of volumes they get. Now, our traffic patterns, you know, like I think we get about 3,200 vehicles per day on our side of Olive. They get 1,600. You know, so there may be some, you know, just we may be making more out of it, but still it'll be interesting to see how it comes about. We're being cognizant and following on that.
I understand some of those, I understand Buyers Lumber is already relocated into North McKnight in Overland, and for the Bob's Seafood. Bob's doing it for a long time. I hear that he's just going to pack it up.
Really? Bob's is done
Not
and
quite-
Buyers is moved. That's insane. Wow.
And
They're
at Jeffrey
staples.
Plaza is all vacant now. They've got some construction fencing around it now.
Yeah, full long is gone.
Interesting too, because it's been kind of a just interesting trying to get information, looking around for it. It hasn't really been readily available on the U City government side.
No, we've been a little bit disappointed on that. Now, Bo Long did relocate 2 blocks eastward where the old Shu Feng was. They took up that spot.
Okay.
We picked up 2 tenants at Olivet Center. That's the Party City Tuesday morning shopping center. The Seoul Korean grocer is moving there. And then the Beijing Art and Acupuncture is going to locate in there. So that, and then we're getting a physical therapy facility where the old Lamar's was, or in there. So that'll leave me 1,800 foot space in that center. That would be left or vacant. And there's been some interest in getting there, but they'll be fully occupied. That's kind of neat. I had never seen it since I've been here. Fully occupied, but we're getting there.
That's why commercial spaces can be sometimes hard to track. They move around a lot more than we realize.
Sure. Yeah. Mr. Carl.
Well, let's see what's left. We talked about the YWCA. I just want to say, I think that's a great project to demonstrate the city working really hard to work with a number of stakeholders to bring a needed resource into the city. So that is great. So you talked about the park renovations. You did mention that Stacy Park parking lot is closed. Did you not, Carlos?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They can park at 4 Planterns right now.
Yeah, well, I won't be in the way, but a lot of other people might. By the way, speaking of the biggest project going on in the city, my footings are poured. So let's see.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I guess the one other thing you didn't bring up is, you know, bulk trash removal. I'll remind you of that. It's from April 18th to April 22nd. So just in case you got junk to get rid of, but I think staff pretty well covered everything else I was going to mention. So that's all I got.
Well, that really kind of does it for reports. I don't know if there's anything else anybody needs or wants to bring up. If there's anything pressing. It seems like there's a lot going on these days, so just keep it on top of it. Task in itself.
Oh, well, one more, and I apologize. I didn't mean to accept. So we do have a proposal that on Hilltop, right adjacent to the Opus development. So on the Chevy side, heading north up, almost including all the way to Alice, because there's 2 properties that will be not part of development. Somebody is proposing to acquire 8 existing single-family homes and create 14 unit attached kind of townhouse or attached house development along Hilltop.
So with regards to that, there's a developer involved at taking possession of those properties, and is there any indication if there's been any sales, anything under contract?
No, I think it'd be too early at least yet, because they're still working on the design.
Okay.
In there, and that would be going to the commission this month. So they're getting closer, but I think right now they're still they're still trying to figure out what the units are going to look like. So to be able to market this. And you know, out of that, of the 8 existing lots, you know, they're proposing about 14 units. So it's an increase of 6 additional units. in there. So it's a comfortable density.
Actually, probably the right kind of thing that needs to be done in that area. With the increased density. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well,
one. Sorry about
actually, you know, when you have a pseudo commercial development, which is kind of like a high density sort of thing happening, which could be sold to single families attached, something like, you know, attached condos or townhouses. That's always something that's people are interested in.
Yeah, I foresee all the multifamily, so with like the townhouses across the street, all of those being added to it. I'm not sure about the large business location, like with the cannabis, you know, consuming that or absorbing that 140,000 square feet, you know, but do we want to have that?
One of the things to look at is
It's a big deal.
is the amount of investment, because that's a big dollar change in, you know, that 1220 North Price goes through. I mean, they're going to do some significant upgrades to that building to do what they want. It'll be comparable to, you know, like Firestone costs.
You know, just from that standpoint, and just from the standpoint of so many things going on here, are we doing press releases or anything like that, or is it too soon to do?
Or
Or
we've tried.
Yeah.
I know our communications manager. She couldn't make it to this meeting because she had just had knee surgery or so. So it just didn't work well for movement. She'll be at our next meeting to kind of further talk about the communications plan. So she's made some outreach efforts, and we've had, you know, some little success here and there in there. So has the you know, when Keats Properties tied up with the Keeley Development Group, they also tried to get the word out there, and they did get a Business Journal article in there. And
Well, we had great coverage with the Corey Bush visit at the Oliver. So that was really cool. And I don't know, I mean, I can't remember the exact press, you know, the things that we've pushed out, but it's been really active and been pushed out on like Facebook and I know, well, socials anyway.
well, just kind of the reason I kind of bring that up is because I've been constantly trying to find information out about what's going on the other side of the highway. And there actually was something on last week on St. Louis on the Air, local NPR
Yeah, I
program.
was gonna say.
If you heard that, it was one-sided. And it would have been interesting to hear what the city's response was to some of the press. I don't really want to go into it, but you know, just sort of, I think that we're being very open and you know, getting people involved in understanding what the developments are, rather than you know, you get a lot of governments that look like they're trying to push things through. I don't think we're being like that, which is good. So you know, kudos, Mr. Carl, and
Thank you.
the rest of the council that you're leading the way on this. So that's the way it should be done.
There are also descriptions on our website and things like that. So
And updates as well.
Yeah, and our website is a great source of information. You could really see the transparency there.
Right, and press releases do go out. I mean, the one I remember seeing most recently was the one on the childhood care center. I mean, we put out a press release about that, so they do go out.
got that saying it was on the air.
Yeah, they're recorded, so it's like kind of like podcasts.
Oh, yes, I have it bookmarked on my home screen.
All right, then, any other councilmen have any comments, questions, concerns? With that.
Motion for adjournment?
Motion for adjournment.
All right.
I will make a motion to adjourn this evening. It's been a pleasure to see you all, albeit virtually, sometime soon in person.
David too.
All right.
I'll second his motion.
Okay.
Thanks,
All in
Nate.
favor?
All right,
Aye. We'll just. do
all
it.
right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Good night.
Very
Bye,
adjourned.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Mhm.